And now the legs start to move together though. And the whole body starts to move. And the ears and the nose, the mouth, everything is somehow in movement. Whatever movement you're doing, create a sound that goes with, that seems to go with what the movement you're Now you become a dance team, moving as a mirror to your own choreography, moving as a mirror. No one's leading, and you're using the whole space, not just where you're standing, but you're really spreading and using more and more space as you leave your space and start to move across the floor as Beyonce and whatever his name is.
Dancing with the Stars.
Weaving in and out of other mirrors as you dance, using even more and more space. Without losing your own mirror. Start dancing in slow motion, and without losing your mirror, you morph into a larger mirror with just one other mirror, but you don't lose your mirror. You have to do it without losing your own mirror, but somehow you have to find a way to morph into a larger mirror with another mirror. Mirror becomes one rather than four mirrors. You've got to find another part of the mirror. Yeah. Without losing that mirror, you morph into one humongous mirror with everybody in the joint. Not two. One mirror. One mirror. One mirror. Only one. With everybody in the room. With everybody in the room. One mirror. And she's going to not lose what you're doing. She's going to keep that going. It's going to develop into some new sound and movement. It's going to come into the center, and she's going to keep everybody with her as she goes into something new. She's going to keep everybody with her, but she's going to change it. She's going to give it to somebody. She's going to give it to somebody who's going to take it and that. She's going to give it to somebody.
Oja! 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 Oja!
Slow motion, slow motion. Keep going, slow motion. With the sound too. Stay in this circle if you will. Lovely work, lovely work. Not hard, not easy to do. Not easy.
Especially when you're unfit.
Same idea with any speech or poem or anything that you have that's memorized. Short is sweet, anything that you have. Just to use something memorized. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing only with words, so that you're going to connect with at least one person and get what you have, and that person will take at the end whatever
I told you last night.
the end is, and start hers or his off of you, using you as the other person in the scene or whatever, and then going by that person and finding somebody else to continue substituting that person for someone else in that scene. So try to be specific to the play or the movie, whatever you're doing. Try to listen to the people you're talking to rather than just thinking of them as a wall that you talk at. Think of them as people in the scene, which they are, that are talking back to you while you're speaking. Meaning, talk is not always allowed, it's sometimes silent. So as I'm talking, Kimberly is going, so I'm taking that in. It means maybe she gets it, I don't know, maybe. Or maybe not. But either way, I'm not talking to a wall. I'm listening as I speak. And I'm picking up little nuances that affect how I say the rest of what I'm saying. So it's dialogue, even though you think, most of us think of dialogue as lines back and forth in a play. Yes, but dialogue can also be in a speech, one speech, where there's no other writing. There's dialogue from the listener. The thoughts of that listener is the other part of the dialogue that you have to figure out what those thoughts might be and how the next thing you say might change because of the thought of the person. That's part of what you use in any speech. That inner dialogue that you're guessing the other person might be thinking. Rather than blah, 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 just talk no matter what. We know people in life that do that. They don't ever listen to anybody. They just talk. They just talk. Those are interesting characters to play, but they're not, it's not great to act with people like that. People you act with like that will give you the exact thing every night, which is not so good always, because it means they're going to be like a robot. It's always going to be the same damn thing every night, and if you do this, it doesn't matter. They're just going to do that, which means it's not going to connect the way there's always a little bit of freedom that you should have that's dangerous. Dangerous, right? Dangerous, because that means you don't know every night in a performance exactly what Angie might do. I'm not saying she should change everything. I'm saying that otherwise it's going to get stale. So the trick is to prepare through rehearsal to know what you're doing, but not so that you can't have room to breathe and find some new moments. You know, a lot of directors are scared about that. For good reason, because often actors take advantage in a bad way, and they change it. But good actors know how to do the same thing in that shape that it's been set, but find new life every night in some way with their partner or in their even monologue, new thoughts that change the color of the speech. That's why when people say to me every week, oh, I don't have anything new. I have to bring in the same damn thing from last week. I go, it's new. Are you the same this week as you were last week? Yeah, I am. No, you're not. No, you're not. Bring the new you to the speech and find some new thoughts about that. It's hard because sometimes you need, that's why what we can do sometimes is keep you on your toes with new ideas. Eddie can give you some suggestions, I can give you suggestions about an old speech. Make that old speech new rather than, I'm bored with it, I'm bored. We all get bored with it, but you gotta, part of, the hard part of an actor is once you get a job, how do you keep it fresh? It's easy opening night, or easier. How about the third and fourth month of a run? You know? So, I mean, you really do have to, that's a job, to keep it fresh. So what I'm asking you to do is think of what you're doing as the first time you've ever done it. For some of you, it might be the first time. It's not so hard. Most of you, though, will probably be working on something you did before. But now it's the first time. So, don't. So let's find out who's at the party today. Who are these crazy characters that we're going to not perform? Work on. Work on. Okay. You know, it's funny. Shana Tova to all you Jewish people. Not one in the room. I don't think there's any. Oh, Shana Tova. You know, this week my rabbi asked if I would give him a private coaching on his sermon.
Wow.
That's a big deal for a rabbi or because everybody's judging you on those sermons that you give on the holy days. So it's a very nerve-wracking ordeal for a lot of them. The board of directors are, who did we hire? And can he really, you know. So I said, okay, I'd be happy to do it. So he wrote back, he said, I will be ready for you to perform in the sanctuary at 3 p.m. I said, I wrote back, excuse me, no performance, please. He said, what? I said, no performance. That will happen soon enough. Relax. Let's work on this, the process of this. What? I said, yeah, just talk to me about it. So it reminds us, rehearsals are not performances. They shouldn't be performances. You should be falling on your ass on a regular basis. You should be stinking the place up, trying things that, unfortunately, commercial jobs, you have to be careful because sometimes you can't do that. So you have to have a little meter. When can I do that? When can I not? Do I trust the director and the producer? Do they understand? So I always say, be careful when you're in a commercial situation. You can't be arrogant and say, it's about my process, fuck them, because there are times when you could get fired if you have a, you know, let's be honest. So you've got to, there are times you can and times you can't. But in this studio, unless you hear otherwise, unless we do an agent night presentation, which we will do, or something for industry and public, you're never a performer. You are always trying something different, trying something that could fail, and most of the time should fail if you're trying something. So here we go. Please join us. Your first name is?
Marion.
Marion. Last name?
Dreyfus.
Dreyfus. Would you like to join us? You don't know? Okay, that's the answer.
Roger,
Yes.
do you want us to do the whole speech or half of it?
I want you to do the whole speech, but I'd like you to do it in two parts. The first act and the second act. I want you to be thinking about the difference between the early part of your speech and the last part of your speech, the journey that that speech is taking. So it's not all on the same level. So it's not all the first act. It has a first act and a second act. Emotionally, it's going somewhere. The writing, structurally, is going somewhere. The story is going somewhere because the speech is a story. If it's a good speech, it has some kind of story. Okay? So I want you to just do the first act of this speech. Yeah? Here we go. And then we'll do the second act later. And some of these, let's find out who's there. Grady?
Tom from Glass Menagerie,
Tom from Glass Menagerie, talking
talking to his mother.
to his mother. I think you brought it in before.
This is the piece that I always try to hone
Very
and
nice.
chip away at.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did. And that's great that you're bringing stuff back, as well as looking for new things.
A monologue from the movie Ants. Characters
Movie from
Ants.
Ants. Who's the character?
Z,
Talking to who?
the therapist.
The therapist.
Yes.
One therapist. Right.
The Waco kid from the film Blazing Saddles.
The Waco kid from the film.
Blazing Saddles. Melrose.
Is that Cleveland Little?
No, it's Billy Wilder.
Who's-
Sorry, Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, great, great, great. God bless Cleveland Little. I loved him. I actually acted and directed with him at the New York Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, wow.
Great. Yeah, he died very young.
Rose tattoo, Serafina.
Lovely. This is, by the way, we're doing the real rose tattoo, not the one that's on at the roundabout. We're doing the real rose tattoo. With all due respect to Melissa.
Marissa Tomei.
And she's talking to
Sarah, she's speaking to Flora and Bessie, two neighborhood women.
Flora and Bessie.
Bessie.
Okay.
Lydia from Annapurna talking to her former husband.
Who wrote that?
Shar White
Cheryl Weiss.
play. Megan Mullally and her husband did it in 2014.
Luther?
I don't really have anything completely memorized.
No problem, you can improvise what you don't know.
Okay. I started working with Laura on Val Clark from Chorus Line.
Val
Clark. From,
Clark?
Yeah, from the Chorus Line.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. If you forget a line or whatever, you just,
Okay.
you know, when we learn lines anyway, we should ideally learn the ideas rather than the lines, and let the lines get, as we as we know what we're really talking about and what our needs and objectives are in that speech, right, then the words come easier. If we just learn the words, then when we forget those words, there's nothing to play. We're dead because it's just words that somebody wrote. We have to give the writer's words exactly eventually, but when we rehearse, they don't have to always be there right away. That's why it's always a good idea to have writers that understand that in rehearsal. Some do, some don't. So some writers want a performance every rehearsal, and they want their words exact every rehearsal. And sometimes we have to improvise around a little bit, not because we forget the lines, but because it might help us make a transition for, or it might give us a new insight. We shouldn't be stuck just with those words. At the performance and at certain times, like run-throughs, where the producers come, the director, then we, unless told otherwise, we better give the words. But in rehearsal, actors should have, I think, again, it's just, you have to be careful, because when you get hired, they may not feel that way. Then you've got to be able to work the other way. You've got to have the words exact, right from the beginning. Okay, but you can have freedom at this stage, right? Chorus line. Chris.
Sam Rothstein from Casino.
I'm sorry?
Sam Rothstein from Casino. Sam Rothstein from Casino.
From Casino?
Yeah. I was gonna audition for The Irishman, but I didn't think I would.
You ever heard of Black Irish?
Yeah.
You ever heard of Black Irish?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, man?
You tried to tell them. Shit.
Who was Sam in Casino? Is that
Bob De Niro.
who is it?
Robert De Niro.
Oh, great, good. You got the pink jacket?
No.
Oh. Yes,
Not
Jim.
him.
What's your
Falstaff talking to the man whose wife he's trying to cuckold and being paid by.
lovely, Jay? J.J. Reap. Here at Rap 33. All right. Let's use the whole space. Let's move back. No performing, please.
Roger, could I start first so I can get everybody else?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to get that?
Sure. It's set on a close, or the, do you know?
Is it
Yeah, you don't need to change the angle.
That'd be great.
nothing to press on? It's rolling.
As long as you see the footage increasing in the red on the top middle.
When we do on camera, JJ's doing it today, and I always try to then email it to you, at least some of what you have, so that you can have it afterwards, because I don't have a screen here. So I will email whatever we have throughout the sessions, okay? As much as I can.
Yeah. I have a small tablet. I figured out how to show it if you want to do that at
That'd be
the end
great.
too.
No, some of it, you know.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Okay.
Now you don't know when it's your turn to speak, which is on purpose. But it's going to come to you, and you're going to use us to be the other characters in that scene. Only the people you need, nobody else. In other words, if your scene has two people, you only are going to be working with two people. If it's one person, you're only going to be working with one person. And you're going to end whatever you're doing on somebody who hasn't spoken yet, in some way, without
You just
losing.
end it off and you start with your own.
But you have to start with your own opposite a person who just gave you something else. You have to start speaking to them, your character, your lines, to them. Make them the person in your scene first, and then you move on.
Follow the lead.
Yeah. Here we go.
Master Brooke, you have come to know what hath passed between me and Ford's wife. I will not lie to you. I was there the hour she appointed, that sped very ill-favoredly. The peeking cornuto, her husband, Master Brooke, comes me the very instant of our encounter, after we had embraced, kissed, when as it were spoke the prologue of our comedy, and at his heels a rabble of his followers, thither instigated and provoked by his distemper, and forsooth to search his house for his wife's love while I was there. Fortunately, comes one Mistress Page who gives intelligence of Ford's approach, and in her invention and Ford's wife's distraction, they conveyed me into a basket, a buck basket by the rood, wrapped me in with foul shirts and smocks, foul socks, stockings, greasy napkins. Oh, that, Master Brooke, that was the rankest pile of villainous filth that ever did offend nostril.
All my life, all right? All my life, I lived and worked in the big city.
Let me stop for a second. Wait. Wait. Let me just stop for a second. JJ, would you go back and I would say, nice performance. Could you do this so it's not a performance?
Okay.
What? He's making me. I'm here to perform. I get my rocks off when I'm performing. And we do. We get our rocks off when we perform, actually. You know, it's kind of exciting. But I'm asking you not to perform. I'm asking you to go through what that character is going through as if there's no camera, no audience. A little more than what I saw. And it was excellent. But it was, yeah. So if you can, what's he feeling? Don't show us what he's feeling. We're trying to go through some of the things he's going through as he's talking. Okay? Might take something away from the volume. It may take something away. Yeah. Sometimes I'm asking you to be extremely articulate and vocal and hit the balcony. It's very hard to do all that and do what I'm asking. It can be done, but I don't think you can do it in the beginning. You usually start small, I find. Not always, but usually I start small. Or smaller, if I'm allowed. Sometimes I'm not allowed. But if I can, I would, you know. Okay. I'm not saying do it for a kind of underplayed film. I'm not saying everything has to be like this. I'm saying put the emphasis on what your character is going through, what your character is sensing, what your character is feeling, what your character is discovering as your character is speaking. Which means a lot is happening in between the words, the lines, rather than just on the line. Once again.
Master Brooke, you have come to know what has passed between me and Ford's wife. I will not lie to you. I was there the hour she appointed, but sped very ill-favorably. The peeking cornuto, her husband, Master Brooke, comes to me the very instant of our encounter, after we had embraced and kissed, and as it was spoke, prologue of a comedy, and at his heels a rabble of his followers, thither instigated and provoked by his distemper, and forsooth to search his house for his wife's love, while I was there. But fortunately comes one Mistress Page, who gives intelligence of Ford's approach. And in her invention, and Ford's wife's distraction, they conveyed me into a basket. A buck basket by the root, rammed in with foul socks and smocks, foul napkins, greasy stockings. That, Master Brooke, that with the rankest pile of villainous filth that ever did offend nostril.
All my life, I've lived and worked in the big city. Which now that I think about it is a problem since I always feel uncomfortable around crowds. I mean it, I have that fear of enclosed spaces. Everything makes me feel trapped all the time. You know, I always tell myself there's gotta be something better out there, but I don't know, maybe I think too much. And I've always had these abandonment issues which plagued me, my mother never had any time for me. I mean, you know how it is when you're the only child and you don't get enough attention. I mean, how's it possible? And my father, the guy flew away when I was like, I don't know, who knows. And my job, God, don't even get me started on this. It really annoys me. Let's face it, I'm not cut out to be a worker, I'll tell you right now. I feel physically inadequate.
They used to call me the Waco Kid. I wasn't just the fastest hand in the West, but in the world. Well, every idiot that could hold a gun came out to try the Waco Kid. I must have killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille. Then, one day, I was just walking down the street, and I heard a voice behind me say, "Reach for it, mister." And I turned around, and there I was, face to face with a 6-year-old kid. I just threw my guns down and walked away. The little bastard shot me in the ass. So I lit to the nearest saloon, crawled inside a whiskey bottle, and I've been there ever since.
Listen, do you think that I'm crazy about the warehouse? Do you think that I'm in love with the Continental shoemakers? Do you think that I want to spend 55 years down there in the Celotex interior with fluorescent tubes? Look, I'd rather somebody picked up a crowbar and battered out my brains into that horns. But I go, every time you come and yell in that goddamn rise and shine, I think to myself how lucky dead people are. But I go. For $65 a month, I give up everything I dreamed of doing or being ever. And you say self is all I ever think of? Well, listen, if self was all I ever thought I'd be where he is, I'd be gone, as far as the system of transportation reaches.
Go on. Go on. Go on, you two men of crazy things, you. And pick up a man on Canal Street. But not at my house, at my window, in front of my dead husband's ashes. I'm not at all interested. I'm not interested in that sort of man-crazy business. I'm not interested in men getting fat and bald and in soldier boy play suits and tearing the clothes off of girls on Canal Street and dropping paper sacks on the hotel windows. I'm not at all interested in that sort of man-crazy business. I remember my husband. I remember my husband. With a body like a young boy and hair on his head. As thick and black as mine is. And skin on him, smooth and sweet as a yellow rose petal. My folks was a peasants. contadini. And he come from a landowners.
I have no control over my life, Doctor. I do things I don't want to do. I do them anyway. I try to do what people ask me to do. I end up not doing them right. I don't know if I even want to do them in the first place. Barbara, she's always right. She says people like us have to make more effort. More effort. My parties aren't big enough. My husband is a clout. I don't invite enough people. I don't know if I even like people.